Hey, and welcome to Girl Be Free, a podcast designed to help women get unstuck and cultivate the life you want on your terms. I'm Siobhan, your host, and I'm passionate about empowering women to live their best life. Each week, you'll hear pep talks that will inspire and push you to take action so you too can start to be free and live the life you want. You can learn more about me at BeFreeProject.com. Now let's jump into the show. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Girl Be Free podcast. I hope y'all missed me. I did take a break last week because I was celebrating my birthday. Y'all, I really celebrated like all week, from like Sunday having brunch with my friend all the way up until this past Saturday. And my birthday was actually on Wednesday. So that is why you did not get a newsletter nor a podcast, because I took a much needed break and really celebrated my life. However, I am back this week with another episode, but let me start off with what I am loving. And this is really personal. I am loving my new tattoo. I got a tattoo on last Friday. So if you follow me on Instagram, you've already seen it. I'll also link it. I'll link to it in the show notes or what have you. But I got Girl Be Free tattooed on my left arm. So let me tell you why I did it. Girl Be Free is more than just this podcast. It's more than the products that I sell, like the affirmation cards and the Girl Be Free pen. Girl Be Free is really a statement that I am personally connected with, because it reminds me to be free and live my life. And so of course, I have the pens and I wear them on my coat and my shirts and things like that. But I needed a permanent reminder for me to be free and live my life every day. So what better way to do it than getting a tattoo? So I got Girl Be Free tattooed right on my left forearm last Friday. It hurt, but not as bad as the other tattoos that I have on me. They kind of hurt a little bit more, but this one didn't hurt as bad, but it did. It was painful. However, I love it, y'all. I absolutely love it. I look at it all day, throughout the day, and it reminds me to be free and live my life. And I have an idea for a podcast that I'm going to be recording soon, all about how we all can be free and live out loud. So that is what I'm loving this week. I am loving my new tattoo. I now have a total of 4, but I will tag a link in the show notes of a picture of it so you can check it out. And then also be sure to follow me on Instagram, because you can see it there as well. All right, so on to today's topic, which is do the self-work. So this episode was inspired based off a conversation that I had with my best friend last week. And usually these podcasts they are based on conversations that I've had with friends or clients or students, or maybe a topic that came up at an event, or maybe an email that I received. And I'm like, oh my goodness, we need to talk about this. So again, this one, Do the Self-Work, was inspired by my best friend. And the reason that I got this idea is because we were talking about, she was saying how, one thing, after celebrating my birthday, because my husband threw me a surprise birthday party, which was so cool, or surprise birthday dinner. And the next day when I saw my friend, she was saying how one of the things that she meant to share with me, that she appreciates and that she values and that she admires, is that I am very self-aware. And so I was like, well, what do you mean? She was like, you are one of 2 people that I know that are very aware of who you are and your purpose and your mission and the things that you're doing. And she was like, and you take action. So you ask questions. And she was like, and you are in tune with who you are, and you are always doing the work. And she was like, you're someone who takes action immediately. And I was like, wow, okay. Let me think about that. And so as she was saying, I'm like, yeah, I do. I've been on this journey that I talk about all the time for 6 or 7 years now. And that is one thing that I pride myself on, is that I understand that it's a journey and how I am always going to be working on myself. And so where this stemmed from is that I tell you guys all the time that I was stuck for so long. And once I figured out that I had the power to change my life, I've been just figuring out, okay, these are areas of my life that I love. These are areas that are just okay. And these are areas that I really need to work on. And because I am so focused on growth in every single area of my life, that I am always doing the work. And I agree with my best friend. I am self-aware, and that when I realize that something is not working, or when I realize that I need to tweak some things, like, I am immediately taking action. And because she said that, I've been more paying attention to even a little bit more of how I do things and how I maneuver through the world. I'll give you an example. My husband and I, we were talking the other day, and he made a comment about something, and I didn't want to hear it. So I kind of totally tuned him out. Like, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to talk about this today. All of that. He made a comment or something, and then he left the room. Y'all, within 10 minutes, I had already started doing the inner work, and I checked myself. And I realized that I needed to go apologize, because even though I didn't want to hear what he was saying at that time, it didn't make it right for me to dismiss what he was saying altogether. And so I checked myself, because I am aware, right? And I said, let me go and apologize to him, and let me say why I did what I did, and how I need to be more mindful of how I respond. And that, me paying attention in that moment, like, I knew immediately. I'm like, I don't want the tension. I don't want none of that, the negative energy, nothing. I'm like, I need to fix this, because I was a problem. I was the issue in this situation. And I did it right away. And it was something else that had came up with my daughter, and something that was brought to my attention. And immediately I went into action, like, the next day, like, these are the things that needs to be done. And so for me, because I realized, like, life is very short, number one. Number two, I am so focused on growing and doing the work on myself first, that I'm always trying to figure out, okay, these are some areas that I need to work on, and I need to be mindful. And when my best friend said how I am very self-aware, I get it, right? Because sometimes we as women can be so busy being busy, or just not connected with self, that a lot of things we just miss, or we don't feel like dealing with. I'm not that person. So the title and the topic for today is doing the self work, because I feel like in order to grow and in order to start to see your vision come to life and pursue your dreams, and to really be free and cultivate the life that you want, you have to do the self work. And the self work is the stuff, not the stuff on the outside, right? Not getting made up and putting on cute clothes and getting your hair done. No, I'm talking about the self work that goes on internally. And so when I realized back in 2011, 2012, I started doing the work, because I realized that I was broken, right? Internally. Like, my mind was just so messed up, and there were so many things going on internally, that my first step was to go to therapy. And as a result of going to therapy, I've just been building on that. And I like the growth that I saw in that time that I was in therapy. And I'm like, okay, if I can see a change in my life just by working on my emotional baggage, let me see what's going to happen when I start to work on other areas of my life. And that has been it. Now, there is always, I don't believe in a perfect balance, right? I don't believe in balance at all. And so it seems like when you're working on one area of your life, then something else is lacking. And so you're constantly trying to juggle all these different things. And it's okay, because that's life. Nothing will be at a perfect balance. So when I realized that my business is going really well, then I start to have issues in my family. When family stuff is going really well, then business is lacking, right? And so I have to be okay with self first, so that I figure out how to work everything out. All right. So my suggestion for you is to, before you focus on anybody else, focus on yourself first. How do you do that? Because I always got to tell you the how. You identify the areas of your life that you feel stuck. So whether it's emotional baggage, mental baggage, physically, socially, whatever, right? Spiritually, what area in your life in this very moment do you feel stuck? Identify it. Be honest with yourself. Get your journal out and write about it. Where do you feel stuck? That's number one. Number two, when you identify the area that you feel stuck in, you start to put in the work in that particular area. So you're not trying to do all the things at once. You're just focusing on one area. So for me, the emotional baggage that I was carrying for so long, that had to be priority for me. So that's where I started working. And then I've just been doing things in other areas of my life. If I wouldn't have started doing this self-work, Be Free Project and Girl Be Free would never exist. I am always going to do the work on me first before I present it to you guys. So before I write about it, before I host an event about it, before I podcast about it, I'm going to do the work on me because I got to first test myself and see if it works. So everything that I share on social media or in person, I've done on myself. So even with the Free Your Mind journal that I created, I tell you guys all the time, it is a journal with 40 journal prompts that challenges you to reflect and to think about the areas of your life that you're probably not dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And then after you answer the journal prompts, it's up to you to take action, right? And so that's the first step, is that you get in tune with self. You start to meditate, you pray, you read books that will help you grow in the areas that you are weak. So if you're dealing with emotional baggage, find self-help and personal growth books that will help you in that area. And then if you need book recommendations, I'll drop the link in the show notes. But I'm an Amazon influencer. So I created this page on Amazon that has tons of books that you can check out, that I highly recommend. Either I read them or they're on my list to read and I know is good stuff. So check that out if you need a suggestion. But that's where you start. You identify where you're stuck, and then you find resources and tools to help you in that area. So that can be hiring a coach, taking a class, hanging out with friends and having conversations, coming to one of my events, or maybe something in your own city where you can start to grow in those areas. I do want to say, because I talked about this yesterday on Instagram stories, or excuse me, Instagram Live, and this particular topic. And one of the things that came up is a few people said that doing the work is very trying and it can be overwhelming. And I get it. And it is like, oh, she said that she was trying to do it. And so when I asked her about trying, what did that mean? She said that she gets confused by what society has said that she should do versus what she really wants to do. And what I told her name was Deidre. Hey, Deidre, if you're listening, is that you have to separate yourself from society, right? And what I mean by that, you have to figure out what you want for your life, minus anybody else. What do you want? So when I started my journey, right, I would listen to Lauryn Hill Unplugged album over and over and over again. And if y'all haven't listened to it, you need to listen to it. And there were two songs that I listened to over and over again. I mean, I kept listening to the album, but two songs really stood out. One was I Gotta Find Peace of Mind. And the second song was I Get Out. And I Get Out talked about how she had to get out of all of these boxes that people had put her in. And she had to separate herself from that and become who she really desired to be. And that album and that song in particular spoke to me because that's what I felt like. I had been going up the corporate ladder, doing all of this stuff that I thought should be doing that was going to define success for me. And in actuality, it wasn't success at all. And I had to take myself out of the boxes that were created and figure out, what did I want? And it wasn't an easy process. And I had to be okay that it was going to look very different than what was created, right? Or traditionally what everybody else was doing. And I had to be okay and trust my gut and know that I was doing the right thing. And I did. Yes, there was bumps along the road, but I would not change my journey for nothing in the world. And so I'll drop the link to the album in my show notes as well, but you have to listen to that. And that album is very spiritual to me. So I definitely want y'all to check it out. And so that is what I suggested, because she said it was, just so trying to figure everything out and not do what everybody wanted her to do. And I'm talking about Deidre, and figure out what she wanted for her life. And so that's what I recommended for her, right? To not care what people think and figure out what she wanted. And I recommended the Free Your Mind Journal because it's a great starting point. And then Valerie shared how it can be overwhelming. And I get it. It is overwhelming when you think about all the things that we have to do just as women, right? So whether you're a partner, a mother, an employee, a daughter, a cousin, a sister, we have all these different roles. And it's like, well, where do I even find time to do the self-work? You make the time. When I started doing the inner work and self-work and all that, I was working full-time in corporate America. I had 2 small children. I was in graduate school. I was doing a lot, but I took time on my lunch break where I would go in my car and listen to podcasts, or I would journal. Sometimes I would sit by myself and read. And I started doing that work then and making the most out of the time that I did have. And so if you're someone where you feel like, man, my life is just so busy, I don't know where I'm going to figure this out. First of all, your life should be priority, right? And then if you're really honest with the time that you do have, I'm sure you can find 5 to 10 minutes a day to just focusing on you. Forget about having an hour, 30 minutes, or long time blocks. No, take the time that you can. So if that means you have to get up 10 minutes early just to meditate, do that. If that means you have to take your lunch break and read a book, do that, right? Find time within your day to do the work. And I'm always telling you guys, all you need to do is take small steps. So the small step for you may be going to bed a little later so that you can journal, right? A small step may mean that you, instead of going out with your friends on a Friday night, you spend time with yourself, figuring out what makes you happy and what do you love. It's just you spending time with you. That's it. And I get it. It can be a lot. But as I said earlier, we are all on a journey and it never ends. And the beauty of seeing the seeds that you planted year after year, and when you start to see that harvest grow and you start to see yourself change, that is an amazing feeling. Like when I went and apologized to my husband the other day, I felt so good because I was able to identify my flaws right away and be able to handle that situation immediately versus sitting on it and making it out to be something that it didn't need to be. I was able to deal with it right away. And that is something that I pride myself on. And I'm very proud of that area, or that I'm proud of that about myself, right? Is that I am self-aware, like my friend said, and I am going to take action immediately when I realize that something needs to be done. And so I challenge you to start to do the self-work, that inner work, and start small, but do something. And so my action step, it's not really an action step this week, but I want to share a passage from this book that I share often on Instagram stories. And the name of the book is called The Language of Letting Go, and it's Daily Meditations for Codependence by Melody Beattie. And you can find this book in my Amazon shop And like I said, the link will be in the show notes. So I'm going to read this passage to you, and it kind of sums up exactly what I was talking about today. All right, and it's titled Self-Value. We have a real life of our own. Yes, we do. That empty feeling, that sense that everyone except us has a life, an important life, a valuable life, a better life, is a remnant from the past. It is also a self-defeating belief that is inaccurate. We are real, so is our life. Jump into it and we'll see. Today, I will live my life and treasure it as mine. So that passage is so on point to exactly what I shared today. Like, you got to jump into this. You have to value your life, and your life matters, and it's important, it's valuable, and you don't have to stay stuck in your negative thoughts, your negative beliefs, unforgiveness, mistakes that you made. You can start to do the self-work today. So my action step is that you simply get started. You figure out what area of your life you want to work on first, and you take a step. That's it, right? So that is what I have for you this week. I do have to let you know about 2 announcements. I have 2 events coming up in April. So number 1 is the Be Free meetup that's happening on April 13th. That is in Cleveland, Ohio. And that is where I get women together to network, to gather, to have inspiring conversations, and to just connect with other like-minded women and be encouraged. So that is happening on April 13th. April 28th is the Be Free Life class, which is titled Free Your Mind in Yoga. So I am collaborating with Dawn from Daybreak Yoga, and we're going to be talking about getting rid of your stinking thinking, embracing a positive mindset. She's going to be talking about mindfulness, and yes, we will be practicing yoga. So if you've never tried yoga before, or maybe you're an expert, come hang out with us. There is limited seating, right? So you really want to get your ticket early. You do not want to wait to the last minute. The link for both events will be in the show notes. So definitely take advantage of that. And then I am looking for volunteers, y'all. So I am in the process of building an events volunteer team. So if you feel like you would love to serve and help me grow this community of women, I'm going to drop a link in the show notes to complete an application. And do that, and then I will be in contact with you personally. So again, I'm trying to grow the community here in Cleveland. And then let's just say you don't live in Cleveland, but you want to volunteer and help in some kind of way. Go ahead and click the link for the volunteer application, and I will be in touch with you. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you understand why I took a break last week. I'm so glad to be back with you again. And as always, I appreciate you so much for being a part of the Be Free family. And until next time, girl, be free. Thank you so much for listening. Your support means the world to me. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling really fancy, go ahead and leave a review. Until next time, be free and live.